So I'm watching this YouTube video, and this police officer in Atlanta was arresting a young lady, and there's a man there that was in the car as well, who's just running so close to just getting himself locked up. Just stupid. I mean, he's right there on the edge of getting his behind put in jail, and for some reason he thought he had a responsibility to try to make things right. Before I go any further, welcome back to the channel. I am Sherman Rivers. In this video, what I want to talk about is men thinking that they have responsibility when they have no control. You can't have control as a man. You can't have responsibility as a man if you're not in control. Bottom line. So I think this example is the perfect example to talk about one of the things I love to talk about, which is responsibility. And some of that misplaced responsibility that men think they have because society has conditioned them to believe so, but it's just not the case. I mean, how often have you felt like you were responsible for something? You had this burden, this weight of responsibility, but at the same time, you feel a complete lack of control. Like there's really nothing you could do about it, but somehow you still feel like you're responsible for it. I'm going to break it down in this video that a man cannot be responsible for something that he can't control. Because remember, control or responsibility requires two things: duty and control. So in the example I was talking about, this Atlanta police officer, it all started when they were riding down the road in the car, and the young lady had her feet out of the sunroof. For what reason, I have no idea, but she has her feet sticking out of the sunroof. Police officer sees this, pulls him over, basically tells him, you know what you did. Why'd you do that? Did you think it was right? This goes on. Had her get out of the vehicle, and she immediately starts talking back. Right? Young black female who is just as combative as she wants to be. And just so that we know what the races were involved, sometimes that seemed to play a part. Police officer was black as well. So, black police officer, black young lady, car full of black young people. Anyway, she starts to just go off. I didn't do this. I didn't do that. What are you doing? This is not right. Just fighting with the guy. So inevitably, she ends up in handcuffs. Still going on. She's fighting the officer now. Right? Now, remember, this all started when this young female had her feet out of the sunroof, like that was the right thing to do. So in the process, this young man is steadily approaching the officer, thinking that he has some type of responsibility to get her out of the mess that they were all in. Now, as a result of her sticking her feet out of the sunroof and the car getting pulled over, the driver sent back a police car. Why? Because he couldn't control his passengers. On top of that, he's inebriated. She is in handcuffs because she couldn't control herself. And now you have a young man trying to take responsibility for the situation, thinking that he has some type of control when he has none. The officer is in control. Yet again, he still feels like he has some type of responsibility. And this is yet another example of what I call the real man trap. See, somewhere along the line, somebody told him that being a real man means trying to be responsible for things that are not your responsibility and trying to take control in situations that you have no control. And this is where my paradigm, sovereign paradigm, is extremely useful, because you can break that situation down step by step and see how you should handle that situation as a man. Any situation similar to that in life as a man that you find yourself in, where either you place responsibility on yourself unwarranted, or somebody else tries to place responsibility on you. First off, acceptance. It is what it is. You have to accept the fact that the people that you're dealing with are who they are, and they did what they did. You've also got to accept the fact that your control in that situation is limited. Have to accept that. Then the next is defining that responsibility. Big one here. First rule of responsibility. Never ask somebody to do something for you that you can and should do for yourself. Second part applies even more here. Don't do something for somebody that they can and should do for themselves. She's the one out of control, and you have no control over her. Therefore, whatever takes place is not your responsibility. Stay out of it. How many times do we see men get set up for a fight that they didn't ask for? How many times do we see men die, lose their lives in situations that they weren't the cause of and they shouldn't have been involved in? All because they tried to accept responsibility for something that was not their responsibility. All because somebody else was out of control, couldn't control themselves, and that man let him get set up for it because he was misguided and he was taught wrong. And his head was filled up with all these ideas of what a real man would do. How many times you see a woman cross the line with a man and then sign a man up to fight that man? She knows she's physically weaker. She can't beat him. So she goes get a brother, father, signs him up for a fight. He goes out and loses his life. Again, situation that he didn't cause and an issue that he was not responsible for. Why? Because he couldn't control it. I don't care if that's your sister. I don't care if that's your mother. I don't care if it's another dude. If you can't control it, if you have no control over their actions, you have no responsibility to deal with anything that comes from that. The outcome, the aftermath. At that point, you might say you have the responsibility to put them in the ground, bury them. I know it sounds harsh, but you got to draw the line somewhere. And you look around in society, it's just running rampant. You have out of control people getting other people involved in their mess because they can't control themselves, and the person that they're trying to make responsible for it can't control them either. If you have no control, you cannot be responsible for it. You should not try to accept responsibility for it. You need to let it go. I think the Lord's Prayer is probably a good way of dealing with that. Stop for a second and think to yourself, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, granted if you can change them, and the wisdom to know the difference. Bottom line, accept it for what it is and be wise enough to know when it's not your responsibility. Anyway, that was on my mind. Figured I'd get it off, share it with you. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. In any case, do something today to make yourself better. Now, the day goes by that I don't do something to become better. Because I know this, when we become better people, our world becomes a better place. Imperium Mentis, power is within. Peace.